We can go to Ukraine now. Olga Tokaryuk is an independent journalist and non-resident fellow at CEPA, that's the Centre for European Policy Analysis. Thank you very much for being with us today. So, terrible images, shocking photographs there. Tell us, what do they tell us about what the Russians did in Bucha?
Well, I think the scenes these horrific images that we're seeing coming in from Bucha, Irpin, and other villages and suburbs of Kyiv are telling us that Russia is not just waging a war against, a Ukrainian military. It's waging a war of annihilation, basically, against all Ukrainians, including civilian population. Russia's goal is basically to crush Ukraine at any cost. And by committing this war crimes and crimes against humanity, they are trying also to break, Ukraine's resistance, to break the spirit. And also, they hope that they will get away with this. They hope they will not be punished for this, they will not be prosecuted, and that the world will not react and will not, take them into account.
And we have had a strong reaction from world leaders today. The French president called those images unbearable. The German government cited terrible war crimes. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said looking at those photos felt like a terrible punch to the gut. Do you think these pictures could be a defining moment when it comes to responding to the Russian aggression in Ukraine?
We have to see what follows these words. Are there actions taken? And are these actions just symbolic, like some symbolic sanctions on Russia? Or is there a real strong response to them? And that response would be, of course, providing Ukraine with everything it needs to liberate territories, to kick Russians out, because we've seen what happened in Bucha, but there are still territories of Ukraine under Russian control, and similar things could be happening there, and as Russia is poised to attack Donbass and take more territory in eastern Ukraine, similar executions could happen there as well. So the goal would be, and the reaction should be, to provide Ukraine with everything it needs, including air defense, missile defense, offensive weaponry, but also impose really costly sanctions on Russia. And with this, I mean sanctions on oil and gas sectors, because Russia, finances its war machine, its war crimes machine, with the money it earns from selling oil and gas.
We're only seeing what happened in Bucha and close by because of a retreat by the Russian forces. We don't know what's happened in places like Mariupol. Can we imagine the worst?
Well, there are actually reports from people who managed to escape Mariupol who are telling also the horrors they witnessed there. And again, indiscriminate shooting on civilians. Well, Russians are not inside Mariupol, or at least they do not control all Mariupol. They control some parts of the city, but not all of it. So where they entered, there, of course, there are the accounts of similar war crimes being committed. And we know for sure that, people are dying in basements in Mariupol without food and water. There was a terrible account of 2 children who saw their mother dying next to them in a basement during, one of incessant Russian bombardments, dying of dehydration. There are also accounts of rape of a woman who was raped in Mariupol by Russian soldiers in front of her son, and who died, of her wounds. So as more people leave Mariupol to Ukrainian territory, more accounts will emerge. And I'm afraid we'll also know about similar crimes being committed, in Chernihiv region and in southern Ukraine, in those territories that are under Russian control. But first, these territories should be liberated and Russians should leave. If they do not, and if they take more territory, these crimes will only continue, and, the slaughter of civilians will just go on.
Do you think any of these images, any of this testimony is getting back to Russia, to the Russian people? Do you think they have any idea of what is being done in their name in Ukraine?
Well, of course, it's not being shown on Russian state TV, propaganda TV. And actually, if it is shown, if some episodes are shown, then the state propaganda is blaming that on Ukrainians, although I do not see the logic. Why would Ukrainian soldiers commit such crimes against their own civilians? But Russian propaganda often follows no logic. But, there is still social media. And while some channels have been blocked in Russian, some social media, there are some others, like Telegram, for example. And in Telegram, there are a lot of channels that are, sharing this news and posting these images. And basically, it is possible for one who wants to be informed and who wants to, who wants to know the real picture, what is happening, to get that information. The other question is that it seems that a lot of Russian citizens, they are, if they do not openly prove these war crimes, but they are at least not, against them. And we are hearing also some interviews with Russian people on the streets who are saying, well, Russia should win in Ukraine and Ukrainians deserve what has been happening with them. And this is also a result of years, of propaganda, of dehumanization of Ukrainians, of, comparisons of Ukrainians with Nazis, and hatred that has been spewed, by Russian propaganda media, by Russian regime for so many years.